Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020, and welcome to What's Happening Dracut. Happy Festivus, boys, and Merry Christmas to all. This is our Christmas show, and we are happy that you could join our new talk show magazine, What's Happening Dracut. We're coming to you live from the awesome studios here located at Dracut Access Television, down here in Dracut, Massachusetts. I'm your host, John Zimini, and I've been a resident and taxpayer here for 23 years, and a community activist, public servant, and political junkie. I'm here to help you keep this show moving steadily and moving fast and good paced, and hopefully keep the conversation exciting and moving right along. I will also wanted to thank everybody for being here and joining us tonight. And my co-hosts for this evening are the very affable Phil Thibault, local activist.
Affable?
Well, not laughable, affable.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Phil Thibault, lifelong resident of Dracut. Serve on a number of committees. I suppose the most active right now is the Permanent Building Committee, where we're looking to accomplish and finish up several different projects, and so I hope to be able to bring some of that knowledge and information to you as I can. Thanks.
And now we have another great host of ours here at What's Happening Dracut, Gordy Scott, who's a computer operations engineer and has been a community activist here in Dracut for many, many years, having coached on the youth basketball level as well as having been on several committees youth-related. Gordy, what's happening with you?
Well, as we know, we're getting into almost January. Can you believe it? Christmas is here, so a lot of stuff going on at work, and sports are starting up. For those of you who don't know, basketball and hockey and a couple other sports will be starting up in January. So getting excited for that. I'll be doing some refereeing this year. So I have my mask ready and my handheld whistle ready to go.
Good for you. And my coaching experience, I have handheld electronic whistle. Is that what you have?
Yeah.
So we have a new one, yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about our show. What's Happening Dracut is a talk show magazine that will bring you interesting topics and occasional guests, along with stimulating conversation from this very worthy panel. The discussions and debate will be aimed at trying to keep voters, taxpayers, and rent payers, as well as businesses, well informed as to what is happening here in Dracut and around the area. We are all politically motivated, and we know that all things lead to politics, and we want to keep an eye on your taxes so that people don't raise your taxes without some kind of consequences along the line. Correct, guys?
Correct.
But you can join us on our Facebook page or live streaming on the internet via dracuttelevision.org. And let's get involved here. Or you can look at us, watch us, many of you are, on Comcast TV Channel 8. We also have an email address now, so you can email us your thoughts, your comments, good or bad, at what'shappeningdracut@gmail.com. And you can phone in also, ladies and gentlemen. We'd love to have you calling in, and we'll have that number up on the screen shortly. And before we get started with a very heavy Christmas Eve agenda, we wanted to invite our resident weatherman from Mill City Weather, Sean Kelly. Take it away, Sean.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me tonight. And here's the forecast starting off with Wednesday night. 30 degrees, we're going to drop down to becoming cloudy too. Clouds building through the evening hours, especially as we head into the overnight hours. The big story is going to be on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day itself. Starting off with Christmas Eve, we're going to be warming it up to about 49 degrees. PM showers. And then as we head into Christmas Eve night, 44 degrees we're going to drop down to. And it actually isn't going to drop down that much. If anything, it's going to actually warm up just a little bit, especially as we have some heavy rain and strong gusty winds coming through also. Rain and windy, 44 degrees for a low temp on Christmas Eve, especially as we head into Christmas Day itself right now. Expecting a high of around 46 degrees, rain and windy too. It could be a transfer of some power outages, especially as we head into Christmas Day itself. And as we head into next week, the sun's going to return with us, as temps go back into the 30s. And that's it from everyone. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Sean, for that weather update. Looks like it's going to be a wet one, guys.
And windy, very windy.
Now, do I need to worry about the electricity going out?
I hope not. Let's hope not.
Oh, God, I hope not. What do you think, Phil?
Well, high winds, but luckily no more. All the snow will melt, and there's none on the trees, so we hopefully won't have too many branches down.
So, guys, I have to explain to the viewing audience and my critics out there why you will not see some arms on me sometimes, because like a fool, I wanted to wear my beautiful, ugly sweater for today's event, but there's green on the arms, and we have a green screen because we have a virtual set. So that means my arms have disappeared pretty much in the black. So I apologize for that.
But your torso is still.
But my torso is.
important parts.
Does it make me look any thinner?
At least you're not a disembodied head.
Not disembodied. Although there are some people in town that want me to be disembodied. So let's hear what's going on with the latest on the surge from Gordy Scott on the surge of our COVID numbers. So let's go with that first, Gordy.
All right, if you guys can bring up my screen here, I'll share the latest numbers. We're going to go through this pretty quick tonight because we've got a big agenda tonight to keep everyone informed of what's going on around Dracut. This is a COVID report for December 23rd. Tests here, we have over 32,000 tests now performed in Dracut, which is more than the population of Dracut, so that's kind of interesting. 10.3 million Massachusetts and over 230 million tests now in the United States. Cases for Dracut, we have 1,670 confirmed cases in Dracut. Massachusetts, over 318,000. And in the United States, this actually just went up, but it's as of the time I did this was 18.2. Now it's up to 18.3. Hospitalizations, this has gone up quite a bit since we were on the air 2 weeks ago. We don't get numbers from Dracut, but we're based on the numbers, we're estimating 91 people from Dracut have been hospitalized. In Massachusetts, we have just under 20,000, and in the U.S., almost 750,000 people now have been hospitalized from COVID. And we're going to go over to deaths. So here's the good news. This hasn't gone up dramatically, and Dracut hasn't changed at all in months. So that's good. 3 people still confirmed dead in Dracut, 11,549 in Massachusetts, and 321,000 deaths in the United States. This is one of the charts I wanted to share with you. I usually give you some kind of extra data with my COVID report. Last week we talked about the vaccines. My wife did get the vaccine. She works at the hospital. So the good news with her, she had no side effects, just a little bit of soreness in the arm where they gave the shot, a little bit of, just tenderness where she got shot. But thus far, everything's good. So she'll be getting her booster shot in 2 weeks. So I'll let you guys know in our next show how that goes. But I just wanted to bring up this chart real quickly. This shows the flu cases. So you can see here, this is the 2019-2020 flu season. And you can see all of a sudden in the 16th week, which is just after April of this year, the flu cases have gone basically to nothing. So some people argue that's because everyone's wearing a mask, and some people argue because they're not reporting flu cases and everyone has COVID. So just wanted to bring that up to you so you could see that the flu is not as prevalent as it once was. You can put the fill in the blank with what you think that reason is, but I think it's because everyone has COVID and they're not reporting flu properly. But that's just my take on it. And that's the COVID report for today.
So the number of hospitalizations has gone up over the last 3 weeks, as we can well imagine. Your wife is a nurse and my daughter's a nurse, and she has stated that it's significantly gone up at her hospital. And but the biggest thing, as we have all said right along, that we hope that they would find some kind of therapeutics. And I guess the therapeutics that they're using are working now, because the deaths are really not as high as...
right. Remdesivir is the big one. That's the one that's really working.
Yeah. Yep. And strangely enough, they are now claiming that hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine is now a good therapeutic.
All of a sudden,
It wasn't good when President
again.
Trump was yelling about it, right? But I wonder, about 3 weeks ago, Joe Biden said that there were going to be 250,000 more deaths before January, right? More people die before January.
And it didn't happen.
It's not going to happen.
No.
But I will say this: it is not getting better out there, and people, I'm a big one on freedom, but I just wish that people would be more careful, going into the holiday season, because it's really not going to be good if we let our guards down, particularly at this time. So today, Phil, Pfizer and our masters of our beings, the federal government, came to an agreement for 100 million more vaccine doses, and with an option for another 400 million. What do you think about that?
Well, it's good.
Yep.
Though you need 2 doses per person.
Right.
So, if you're getting 100 million doses, then you're really treating 50 million people. But, it needs to get out quickly. It needs to get to the right people quickly. I'm not entirely convinced that some of the categories that are being given first are entirely the right ones. In Massachusetts, certainly we're giving it to inmates. Certainly there's a responsibility by the Commonwealth to take care of inmates. But how do you prioritize them over maybe a population that's even more vulnerable?
Exactly. Now, Gordy, we're talking about, as Phil said, 100 million shots equals about 50 million people but that's only Pfizer. There's also Moderna, and there's Johnson, and there's Squibb, Johnson & Johnson, and there's Squibb,
Yep.
and there's others. So the government, through warp speed and the president's ingenuity, he told the federal government not to put all of our eggs in one basket. And of course, the Democrats kicked the crap out of him when this thing with Pfizer came up, that, he didn't reorder 100 million because he wanted to negotiate, and he spread it around. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Pfizer put some money in the pockets of some of the politicians, and it's payback, I think, for some of them.
Yep.
The reason I think Moderna is a little better, because it doesn't need to be frozen. It doesn't need to be kept at the low temperatures that Pfizer does. It might be a little, it would definitely be easier to transport and store the Moderna vaccine than the Pfizer vaccine. They're pretty much equal as far as efficacy. So I would say, I wouldn't pull that trigger too quickly. The only reason I can come up with is I think Pfizer lined the pockets of some of the Democrats out there.
Yeah. Now, Phil, we know through personal contacts, through friends that are in Moderna, that obviously favor the Moderna vaccine, but from all things I've heard, some of Gordy's points are very well taken. But I think that the Moderna vaccine is going to be much better than any of the others, because they've done such an extensive research in the background. But they are not using actual dead virus. They're using, what is it called?
RNA?
RNA. They're using RNA, which is a thing that tells the body, or makes the body think that they have a virus, and then they start producing the antibodies for that virus,
right. Yeah,
which is an amazing thing.
Exactly. It essentially programs the body to recognize something that it hasn't seen before, and tells the body how to fight it. So that's excellent. Just beginning of the flu season this year, my doctor asked me if I wanted to get the flu shot, the regular flu shot, and I figured, well, with everything that's going on, maybe it's a good idea. I usually don't. And so I got the flu shot, and to be honest, I didn't feel good for 2 days.
Right.
And of course, those flu shots typically have dead virus in them.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know if I want to do that again.
Yeah, I get it every year, and it typically doesn't bother me at all. I also get the pneumonia shot every so many years whenever you're required to do it. But I think it has to be an exciting time for these research companies that are coming up with all of these things. Now, I also have a friend that works for Pfizer, and he happens to be a father of a kid I coach. And the kid's father tells me that what people don't understand is President Trump should get a Nobel Peace Award for this, because without his warp speed program, we would be years before we got this.
You imagine how many people would have died.
Yes, would have been years. And these people in Congress and across the country who criticize him every step of the way should be ashamed of themselves for what they did, because what he has done through this warp speed is just beyond the imagination of any of these people within, including Moderna and Pfizer and all of these people. They know what he's done, and hopefully he's going to get the credit somewhere, and history will be better for him. So we're going to move along, but I wanted to first start off with, today is December 23rd, and it is Festivus.
Yes.
Do you have a grievance, Phil?
The airing of the grievance.
The airing of the grievance.
Where do you start?
I know. Do you have a grievance at all?
I probably have a number of them that are just
all right.
floating around.
How about you? Do you have one, Gordy?
Well, I had one, if you remember. It was about our tax base.
Yes.
For the assessor's office. And wouldn't you know, on the day of Festivus, Kathy from the assessor's office actually called me about 4 o'clock today and gave me good news. Well, that's good and bad news, but she resolved the issue in my neighborhood with the lot prices. So thank you goes out to Kathy for taking care of that, following up. It was about 6 months ago I called her on it, and she did follow up, so I thank her for that.
That's good. That's good. And, Kathy does a good job, by the way. And that's Kathy. What's her last name, Phil? I think, is it Golden? Is that Kathy Golden?
Yeah.
Kathy Golden, yeah. Tipper Golden's sister, I believe it is. So she does a very good job. I've also had some interaction with her, and she's very accommodating and does what she has to do.
I find that they're all terrific over at Town Hall.
They really are.
Everybody
Yeah, they really are. There's,
very
you
helpful.
get a few that, in any profession and anywhere, that might not be as friendly, but it's certainly personality over substance, right? So, our embattled chief of the police department has returned. So I have a question for you, Phil. How long is he going to last?
Oh, geez. A betting man? Well, I suppose let's go out as far as a year. Maybe not the year.
You think he's going to make it a year?
Maybe.
Do you have any feeling on that, Gordy?
I don't. I think we should have kept the chief that we had.
Well,
However,
you couldn't, because you had
I know.
you had him out on workers' comp.
I know.
No.
But I don't think he'll make it long. Probably a few months, I would give him.
Well, do you think the union is upset that this guy is back? The guy who they gave almost like a vote of no confidence, I
Yes,
believe they
I
did?
would think they would be upset.
They'd be very upset. So I think that they're really looking to make a change. And I also hear, Phil, you tell me if you've heard any of this from the grapevine, that the Board of Selectmen may not be happy and may be looking for an out.
I don't doubt that. I mean, so before the chief went out on medical, essentially the meeting before it happened, they were supposed to start talking about some of his benefit package.
Sure.
And the Board of Selectmen voted to wait so they could take some information and gather and make an informed decision. So they essentially told the chief, we're not doing it right now. And I think that night, the chief calls up the town manager, informs her that he's injured himself and he's going out on medical leave.
Yep.
It's like,
So the question was, when was he injured? Now, this happened in like April or May when this whole thing came about with him going out. But he was supposedly getting rehab, going through rehab. But there was confirmation that he informed the manager that he slipped and fell in February. And then he all of a sudden, because his contract stuff came up, that he was, in trouble and had to go out. Now, that's all well and good. Everybody, people have legitimate injuries, and I'm not saying that he didn't.
You can't question that with HIPAA.
No, you can't. You can't. But he's a public figure, so it's obviously something different for them, right? And he went out, and he spent the whole summer out, and then he just came back a week or two ago. And, there's a lot of talk around town that he wasn't going to come back, and then when he did come back, there's a lot of talk as to whether or not he will last, because the Board of Selectmen and the manager don't seem to be too enamored with him. Have you heard anything about whether Joe DeRocco is supporting him or not?
Well, I'm not really on speaking terms with Joe.
Oh, I thought you were.
But I don't imagine he would be. I mean, a big issue that I see is that if the town manager knew of this injury prior, she certainly did not inform the Board of Selectmen of the injury.
Until late.
And you know, and I can understand that, you know, if somebody on staff further down the line is injured, that you know, you're not informing the Board of Selectmen of every single thing that happens. But when you have a department head that gets injured, I would tend to think that's something that you tell the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah. But I know there are some people at the department that are happy that he's back because they like him. And, you know, like in anything we do, in any jobs we have, Gordy, you know, you have people who are under you, and Phil, you've had workers under you. When you are managing individuals tend to not like you when you tell them what they can and cannot do. So, I mean, I've been in that position also. So if you're managing properly, then you're gonna piss some people off in plain English, right? Right? So,
yeah.
So you gotta, and if you're managing it right, it should. Now, you know, Steve Chappett did a great job while he was under trying circumstances. He made it through a summer of protests with Black Lives Matters.
Excellent job.
And he did a very good job, especially when we had many interactions, Gordy and I, and Phil. We had interactions with him over the summer because we were doing things for the
Trump
police
rallies.
and Trump rallies, and they did a great job for us. So we congratulate him for moving on, and we congratulate and welcome the chief back in town. So let's move on to a little bit of a sadder news that I have to report tonight. My sources down at the fire department tell me that firefighter Justin George will be departing the department. I reached out to Justin to try to get a comment and try to get some information from Justin, but he reluctantly and very graciously made a no comment. And I can understand why. The man and his family has gone through hell in this town. You know, hell. He's gone. It's just unimaginable. Just because he wanted, he aired his, and he spoke on town meeting floor, and he did what he thought he could do. It was his God-given right to do. It's his right as an American citizen to do on town meeting floor, and he got
even more so for him because he defends our country.
Yes.
So
yes, absolutely. I mean, he is the reason why we have those laws.
Well, exactly.
And this guy got totally castigated. You know, my questions, I'm going to throw a couple out. First of all, did the former administration treat Justin George right? The former manager? Phil?
I would say by appearance, from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like he was treated very fairly.
No.
I mean, you bring up the incident at town meeting where he was presenting an article. You know, it makes me think back a number of years prior to that when Jim Duggan was trying to remove the fire chief's position out of civil service, and the chief got up and said, one reason to keep it in civil service is for this very reason here. I get to speak politically and without retribution.
Right.
And then Justin George does that shortly after, and we see what happens.
And
even with civil service.
Which brings up a question. The chief made that statement. Did he have a hand in this debacle for
I think so.
Justin George?
I think so.
I think you're going to find out. Yes, he did.
Well, he's the department head, so I mean, he has to have some involvement in it.
And I'll just make a quick comment on that, John. Sure. I'll never forget for the rest of my life when he went in front of the selectmen's meeting, and he gave an indentured speech where he poured his heart out and he told the truth and said, "This is what's going on, people. For those of you that don't know what's happening, here's what's happening." And I was crying. My wife and I were crying watching it on TV.
The most impassioned speech in my career as a local politician was that night. You're right, Gordy. He laid his heart out on the table. Now, there is not a stronger person I know than Justin George. And this town took him to the edge of breaking. They bent that family, twisted them up so badly that now the guy, in my view, has to move on. And one of the parts of his moving on is moving out of this town and moving out of the fire department and hopefully landing somewhere.
He'll be fine. I have a prediction he'll be fine.
He's a strong guy, and we wish him all the luck in the world. Now, I'm gonna ask you this question, and this is I won't ask Phil because I know Phil doesn't talk to Joe DeRocco, but maybe you do. And do you think Phil DeRocco, oh, good Lord. There's a Freudian. Joe DeRocco, who is the crowned king of all Dracut politics because he controls everything in town, do you think that he helped the situation for Justin George?
Not at all.
Or did he back his friend, the chief?
He backed his friend, the
one chief backing another chief.
Exactly.
What do you think?
The second one.
You think so?
Absolutely. Well, he was very vocal when Justin George spoke. No. He took offense that he came and spilled his heart out, and how dare he come and speak in front of the people. I mean, really?
Really. That is why I asked you that, because I was hoping you would remember that and bring that up.
Yeah.
Because the people have to be remembered that this guy, DeRocco, who has gotten up at meeting after meeting after meeting, castigated me personally, castigated you, Phil, personally. He's mentioned you a couple times. He's mentioned others a couple times, all because we have a view. All because we have a view that's opposition to him. We have a little technical difficulty going on. Are the gremlins here, Matt and Nate? Are the gremlins? Is Joe DeRocco out there running the board? Anyways, I think that Joe DeRocco probably threw some gasoline on the fire. And I also think that Joe DeRocco, who has been on has been on the Public Safety Committee since he's been elected, right? Appointed by chairman after chairman after chairman, because he was a former chief and he should be on there, right? I don't see Tony Archinsky on there because he's got public safety too, right? So they don't put Tony. I don't think Tony Archinsky's on that committee, and if he is, I'll stand corrected. But they don't put Tony Archinsky on there, but they put Joe DeRocco on there so he can break everybody's Aggies along the way for his friends and not take care of what really is the problem. Things like this and things like David Chartrand getting literally screwed over the years. So, beware of Joe DeRocco, you guys, because remember, I don't know if the fire department knows or remembers it. I know that there are a few of my dear friends down at the fire department that do remember it, but John Zimini was very instrumental when I was on the Board of Selectmen of getting 24-hour shifts for the firefighters, because that wasn't going to happen, and I was the swing vote, and I was the guy that made the difference. I was one of the guys that made the difference on that whole thing, and believe me, Joe DeRocco fought it every step of the way. He gave every excuse because he was acting as a chief and not as an administrator and what was good for the town. It saved the town a tremendous amount of money and overtime at the time, and it's a great thing for all of the firefighters who, in my estimation, Phil, are in Dracut, are the most underpaid firefighters probably in the world, certainly in Massachusetts. So
underpaid, and I would say the most dedicated.
Most dedicated, absolutely. I can't say the most dedicated because I have a fire chief and I have a deputy fire chief from Chelsea in the family, so I can't say that in case he's watching.
Some of the most dedicated.
Some of the most. Okay. You're right. So we're going to move right along now to the next subject, and I want to talk a little bit of good stuff, something good. We have a police officer in Dracut by the name of Zach Coleman, who was approached by an anonymous person while he was sitting in his cruiser. The anonymous person had come out of a local shopping center, store, Market Basket, and he handed the officer a gift card from Market Basket. And he said, "Officer, I just feel like I want to do something for somebody, and I'm sure you know a family in Dracut that's in need at this time." And he gave him, I think it was a $25 gift certificate, a gift card, and he said, "Please." This happened 2 days ago, by the way, and it's on our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page, What's Happening Dracut, and see the whole story, because it's a very heartwarming story. It's one of those great stories of Christmas and giving and what have you. And I think that Zach needs to be congratulated and lauded as a police officer here in Dracut. The police departments across the country have been lambasted and trying to be defunded. And this particular guy took that $25 and turned it into over $4,500 in 2 days, asking his friends and people on Facebook to contribute to gift cards. So he and several other officers that I'm going to save Zach when he comes on the show at a later date. I'm going to save him to tell about those other officers that got involved, as well as the administration, to allow him to hand out these gift certificates. There's also another big thing coming, but I want to challenge you guys to go on our page and see the story, and then go on Venmo and send Justin some money so that he can continue this goodness even after tomorrow. Absolutely. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge all my coffee buddies, Dristolaris's, Cheapo Billy Morin, Brian Martin.
I'm sure even $5 would help.
Anything. And all of our viewers, go on Venmo. I believe it's in the story. Go on there. Go in the story. If it's not, send me a text, send me a message. I'll get you the Venmo thing, and then you can contribute. But contribute anything you can. We want to try to boost that up. And we really, really congratulate Officer Coleman for what he's doing during this Christmas.
The times are so trying. I mean, people not getting out to seeing each other and stuff, and with people being isolated. That's such a heartwarming story.
And the guy that actually gave him the $25 gift certificate started this whole thing.
Exactly.
So that's
it's
great.
Such a heartwarming thing, right?
Yep, that's great.
So, moving right along, I got a question for you guys about the Board of Selectmen. Do you notice that the Board of Selectmen has been on somewhat of a sabbatical over the last 2 months? November and December, they went to summer sessions.
Oh, it's the holidays.
Holiday sessions.
So they went to one session. Now, they did have a couple of executive secret squirrel meetings that ended up in the newspaper because someone leaked information about Barrett returning. But let me ask you this, Gordy, and Phil, you can answer this question too. What kind of an image does this present for the Board of Selectmen to be on vacation during the months of November and December in the middle of a pandemic?
Especially with we don't know what we're going to get from the state as far as finances go. So I think it puts a lot of pressure on the town manager to carry the torch, if you will, of all of those burdens that come to the town.
Yep.
Also, it just shows that you can't hide behind COVID. We've all adapted to that at this point. So we've been 9 months now that we've been in COVID lockdown. So doing remote meetings should still be possible. I don't understand why they can't do remote meetings.
Phil, have they done anything to check the budget? Have they had a meeting, an open-aired meeting with the manager, or even asked the manager during a meeting about the town budget, where the budget is as of the first of the year? I mean, we have to be down in revenues just from sales taxes alone.
Well, sales tax from essentially meals tax. I mean,
right.
Dracut gets that extra 0.75%. But if that number is down 75%, then I think Dracut used to get somewhere around $200,000. So, I mean, take out 75%, we're only getting $50,000 now.
Yeah, amazing.
And we certainly have some cannabis retail that are coming online. So I think I heard one of them saying that, we can start using that money. It's like that money just doesn't pop into the coffers. That money only starts coming in when the sales start, and those sales aren't really starting yet.
I got a question for one of you guys to answer me. We have a finance committee, right? And that finance committee is supposed to be the overseer of everything, right? All spending do they go to sleep after the budget's set?
I don't know.
Shouldn't they be meeting and asking questions about how we're going to meet our obligations?
Make a phone call to the state. Ask where. Do they have a estimate of what we're going to be getting for school funding and for
how about a member of the Board of Selectmen asking what has COVID contributed to our overtime? Is our overtime budget still
Yep, that's
healthy?
a good point. That's a good point.
Healthy. And how about asking the schools? I mean, they've had a tremendous amount of problems with remote, not remote, who's in,
Getting
who's out,
Chromebooks and
closing schools.
Yep.
I mean, has anybody on the school committee taken an initiative to, on the Board of Selectmen taken an initiative to meet with the school committee and ask for a joint session to talk about where they're at so that we can work together as a team?
Well, let's look at some of the other boards in Dracut. I don't think the other boards have gone to a holiday schedule like the selectmen have. So I think the planning board still had their 2 monthly meetings, I think. So it's this whole thought of, well, okay, we have the holidays, we can all take a break. Well, you take a break in the summer, there's 3 months you take a break, and then in the holidays you take another 2 months. So I mean, within half a year, you have only 6 meetings.
I wouldn't mind, folks out there in television land, I wouldn't mind you taxpayers if you guys have been suffering like there's no tomorrow. Most of you, the unemployment rate in Dracut is pretty high right now. I mean, if you want to join in the talk and the discussion, 978-957-4243. Come on in and join us. But the bottom line is, don't you think it's a little irresponsible of this Board of Selectmen to not be taking the lead politically? I mean, to move things along, and they're gonna say, oh, he's just shouting out. You better believe it. I'm gonna be the guy, one of the guys that's gonna ask these questions, because the taxpayer needs to know and the voter needs to know. What are you doing? What is happening here? You know?
Yeah, and certainly COVID is serious, but oftentimes in these positions, it's used as an excuse. We can't do anything. It's COVID. It's like, figure out a way. We've been in this for 9 months now. Figure out a way.
right.
They're depending, Gordy, on the federal and state government coming out to bail them out. That's what they're depending on. And coming from a Democratic state and a Democratic stronghold, and Charlie Baker was no better than any Democrat down in Washington or anywhere else, they're all depending on a windfall of money coming out from
Once
Joe
Biden
Biden. Please, God, do not let Georgia go Democratic with the 2 senators down there. Please, God, we need to win that. Phil, we're going to have a little fun right now.
Okay.
Why don't you introduce the next segment?
What is the next segment?
The next segment is your little suggestion about gifts for politicians.
So I have a secret Santa. So I am somebody's secret Santa. If we could pull up my image that I sent over. Here's the gift. I would like to give this to Chris Scott. Oh, bring it up. That was too short.
Yeah, that was way too
Thanks for having
short.
me tonight.
Oh, no.
And here's the forecast.
Sean,
That gremlin's
The
back.
gremlins
30
are
degrees, we're going to
back.
drop down to
Nate, what are we doing here?
So anyway, a book that I think is well needed by Chris Scott of the Lowell Sun. I think he's forgotten a lot of stuff that he's learned in school on this particular subject. And I only bring this up because of one of the last articles, again, that was written by the Lowell Sun regarding DATV, about a confidentiality form that the employees and the board of directors are going to be signing, and they're saying that a number of people are refusing to sign. One of the people that they list as refusing to sign it isn't even on the board of directors.
Right. And he wasn't on the board of directors when they came out.
That's correct. And they also said the appointee from the school committee has refused to sign it also. The school committee has not given us an appointee yet. So
Correct.
That person, I suppose, could neither accept to sign or refuse to sign. So technically, it's not even correct to say he refused to sign because they don't have one.
Well, I'm a little disappointed in Prudence.
So again, there's a disingenuousness coming from the Lowell Sun, and I think they need to really read journalism ethics.
Yeah, well, that would make them a legitimate newspaper if they had any ethics, and we know they're nothing more than a rag, right, Gordy?
Yep.
We're all been subject to some of the stuff. And Gordy, you have a little
Yes.
something to give?
Yep. You can't see it here, but I'll just hold this up. This is a Dracut
Are you
Access.
able to zoom in on that?
Dracut Access television pen that I'd like to give to Joe DeRocco. Since Joe DeRocco is such a huge fan of Dracut Access TV, this is for you, Joe. You can sign official documents with a Dracut Access television pen, and that's for Joe DeRocco.
So folks, naturally, Phil came up with the idea, a great idea, by the way. And then I've been so busy, I really haven't had a lot of time to think about this thing until this afternoon when I was driving home from my appointment, and I had a little help from a couple of friends, but I got on and started discussing about what I can do to give some gifts, right? And of course, I have more than one gift, guys. So I'm going to give you, can you indulge me for a moment?
Sure, certainly.
Okay, so my first gift is to Jesse Forcier, the chairman of the board of selectmen. And my gift to him is a lifetime supply of Charmin toilet paper to wipe Joe DeRocco's butt after he gets his marching orders before each meeting. So I think that's because obviously Joe controlled the appointing of the manager, which ended up a huge debacle. In fact, I still think that Joe and a certain farmer aren't even on friendly terms right now. So that really accomplished one thing, breaking up a friendship of a long time. But Joe had total control over that and controlled that whole process, and it's going to be something that he's not going to live down. And now I'm going to. Do you have any comments about that?
Well, I might as well throw it out because I thought it. I thought you were going to say he needed the toilet paper to blow his nose.
To blow his nose, yeah. Exactly. You want to add anything?
No.
Okay.
That was touching that one.
So my next gift is going to go to select woman Allison Janest. And that is going to be a notice of separation from Town Hall West and an early set of nomination papers for a run for the Massachusetts State House of Representatives. And she will be a formidable candidate because she's a formidable campaigner. So the current person in that seat should not be sitting on
her laurels
for too long, right? Any comment?
Well, I certainly can't deny that she is an excellent campaigner, a very good candidate, both for the Board of Selectmen, of course, and an excellent candidate for House of Representatives in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and she would run, obviously she's a Republican, and we know her husband is also on the state committee, House State Republican Committee. And if I were the current sitting Board of Selectmen member, current sitting representative, I'd be a little bit nervous after 24 some odd years of sitting in that position, and may have a real good run coming at her. What do you think, Gordy?
Yeah, I think. Well, you can never discount Colleen, though. She's tough.
Yes, so. Absolutely. But you can't take it away from Colleen. Her constituent services are second to none. She does a great job of constituent services, and she's done that over the years. And she's likable by the voters, and that's obviously. But that would make a very, very interesting race, to say the least. I'm going to throw out a good gift, because I want to give my friend, and not always have been on the same page with this member of the Board of Selectmen, and we've had discussions, and we've had strong discussions on many different subjects, but I wanted to throw it out to Tony Archinsky. We want to give you the gift of good health for the coming year and many, many years to come, and a happy long life. So, Tony has been struggling with he's well now, and he's doing well now, but he's had his bout with cancer, and I, as a cancer survivor, know what Tony is going through, although I can't imagine chemotherapy the way Tony has been having to go through it. And he's doing very well right now, by the way, folks, so I'm not putting out anything that he's having any trouble, because he's not. He's doing very well. And to our manager, Ann Vandal, I want to send her a strong set of bolt cutters to cut the chains from Joe DeRocco's control, because he sits in town hall, and he gives direction and gives his opinion constantly. I'm told he's there a lot. For a town hall that's closed, maybe somebody should take his keys away so that he can't get into the town hall, because people don't get things done when he's hanging around all day trying to give them his opinion, and obviously his opinion counts because he controls everything, right? And then I wanted to put out this one. This
Well,
is,
you have a lot, John.
yeah, I do. I had a few, and this one was a last minute one, and I kind of do it with some trepidation, but it's more or less a promise to an individual that if that individual keeps up their baloney, then I'm going to expose them the same way he is trying to make Phil Thibault and John Zimini and DATV. I'm going to expose them with personal texts and emails that will expose what he thinks about people around him. So I'm going to give to the newly appointed town procurement officer a sufficient supply of cans of disinfectant to keep her poisonous brother away from her. So that is an insider, and I'm sure it's going to get to the right person, and I'm sure I'll hear more about that. Okay? So that was our little to-do about our gifts, and Merry Christmas to all of you. And most of this, ladies and gentlemen, is done in jest. We're doing this as friendly banter, and hopefully everybody takes it for what it is, and we move forward, right? Because we're going on to the new year. So let's talk a little bit about national politics, right? Joe Biden, how about the Obama rehash of the cabinet from Obama?
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's all he knows, so he just goes back to what tried and true and what works, right? So all he knows.
Phil, he has not a thought of his own in his head.
Part 2. I mean, what else do you want?
Part 3, because you had 8
Right.
years of him.
Well,
and now you're going to get 4 more.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we going here? Every one of them are all retreads.
Yep.
All retreads. What is it, Susan Rice?
Yeah.
She's coming back?
Yep.
Are you serious? I mean, who's the other one? Who's the one that had a lot to do with the phony dossier that's coming back that they're not going to try to put before Congress because she's too volatile. She'll never make it through. It's not Susan Rice. Who is that? I wanted to say Powers, but I'm not sure.
Well, at least he did pick the guy that ran for president there from Ohio, the mayor.
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. So he's new.
Well, he tried to say that Buttigieg was, and the media ran with it, that Buttigieg was the first LGBTQ secretary. Who's that?
Bill's on the line.
Bill's on the line. We'll get to him in a second. Okay, but he tried to say that what do you call it? That Buttigieg was the first openly gay cabinet secretary. That's not true. That's not true. Who was it? Rick Grinnell, and President Trump appointed him. Oh, with that, we're going to move on to the call because we got a lot more to get through before we get done here. Who's on the line, Bill?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Mr. Zimini. I have a question. Who's the new procurement officer?
Who's the new procurement
Who's
officer?
the new procurement officer? Well, the new procurement officer is, I really wasn't going to name the person. What's her name? O'Connor?
Barbara O'Connor.
Barbara O'Connor. By the way,
And she does a fantastic job.
she does a very good job, and she's very good at what she does. So, and she's very intuitive of what for procurement. She's far better than anybody else at Town Hall, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've had some dealings with her on the permanent building committee. We're
Right.
putting projects out for bids and such, and she's been fantastic.
But I'll just...
Well, who's her brother?
I'm going to leave that out there for a little bit. You'll find out who it is because that person's not going to be... that's a little bait I'm throwing out there. So let's see if that person responds. And if that person responds, then we'll make it public, okay?
Thank-
All right, my friend?
Thanks,
we got Bill, Merry Christmas. We got to have a little bit of intrigue. Thanks for calling in, Bill. Okay, so let's move on to the... We got to move right in. What time is it here? I got
Yeah, 9 minutes left.
I got 9 minutes left. So we now have to go to the lighting contest, ladies
Yes,
and gentlemen,
we gotta
because
get to
I have so much to talk about. We have so much to get in before this. But we're going to go to the lighting contest. Ladies and gentlemen, to my right, between Phil and I on the table, we have some of the gifts that we're going to give to our participants of our lighting contest. It's the first ever What's Happening Dracut, What's Decorating Dracut lighting contest. And the idea was spawned by our newest and youngest member of our team here at What's Happening Dracut, Richard Silvio, who came up with this idea that he was going to do a little piece about all the little houses that were decorated with Christmas lighting. And then from there, I said, well, why don't we make it a contest? We get people to come on to the webpage to vote for the different addresses, and that just blew up. And we got quite a few entries, and we have come down to announcing who the winners are. But first, before I do, if you can zoom in on this package over here, Nate, I'd like to just explain what the prizes are. First prize is going to be this basket, which is full of goodies from the Gnome, and it was donated by Tammy and George Dristolaris from Dristolaris Law, and it has cookies and coffee and a towel set, a candle, a mug, a gnome. Let's see the gnome.
A gift card.
And we have a gift card to Mama's Italian restaurant for $50. And we added also a gift card to Rufina's in Chelmsford. So that $50 prize went up to about $100, close to $100. The second prize is going to be a $30 gift certificate to Primo's Pizza. And the third prize is a $25 gift certificate to Market Basket. So we have a videotape that was put together by our great little our cub reporter who gets out on the street and does his thing, and he's going to give you the announcement because we're proud of him bringing this up. So will you play that little video now, Nate?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Silvio, reporting for What's Happening Dracut. Tonight I am joined by the winners of the Holiday Lighting Contest, Mr. and Mrs. Chris Roberts. Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
Now, tell me, how does it feel to win the competition?
It's pretty good. I usually decorate every year just because Christmas is my favorite holiday. Not thinking anything about it, and then one day I came home and there was a paper taped to the mailbox. So it was exciting.
Now, how long do you say it usually takes you to put up the lights?
Well, this year I did it pretty fast because we had a few warmer days, which was like 70 degrees, 65 degrees. So I did it in like 5 days this year.
Really? That was pretty impressive for 5 days. Wow. So what do you plan on doing with the package and the money?
I'm not sure yet, to be honest.
I'm sure he'll buy another blow-up, some sort of blow-up.
So, 2020 has been a pretty difficult year. So how have you guys been able to get through it? Has Christmas helped at all?
Yeah, the holidays are always like one of our favorites. We enjoy them a lot. But it's been different seeing how we can't be with as much family as we used to every year. And so we've just been holding it, sticking it out and just trying our best.
I understand completely. So you guys are just going to stay home for the holidays? No plans?
Yeah, it's just going to be the three of us. My mom and my grandfather actually lives right next door to us, so we're going to all just be together.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Do you have anything you'd like to say for the camera?
No. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. It was great talking to you. Merry Christmas, everyone. My name's Richard Silvio, and this has been What's Happening Dracut. Good evening and Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Silvio, reporting for What's Happening Dracut. Tonight I am joined by the second place winner of the Holiday Light Contest, Mr. Hull. Hello, Mr. Hull. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm very fine, thank you. These holiday lights you have, they're very beautiful. How long do they take you to put up?
If I have good 8-hour days, it'd be 2 days.
Really?
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. It was certainly worth it. They're absolutely stunning. Yep. Stunning.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this is my 4th year doing it on this property here. I started back, I came originally from Lowell, Mass, and we moved here 4 years ago, and I just started all doing this.
Really? Did you feel a special obligation to do it even more this year because of how the year's been going?
Actually, every year I add on.
Really?
Add on. Yes.
You know, speaking of 2020, it's been quite an awful year. Have you been able to get through it all right?
Yes, I have. Yes, my wife and I, we've been very healthy and doing very well and being safe.
Well, very wonderful, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm Richard Silvio, and this is John Hall. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back, folks, and that was pretty good. Gordy, put up our little, if you can.
Nate, if you can bring up my screen here. These are the prize winners again for the contest. See if I can make this a little bigger.
Yeah, so these are the three. We had 3 prize winners, and the last prize winner, which Richard tried to contact, and they did not respond in time for this hearing tonight. And that was the 21 Lillian Terrace?
15 Lillian Terrace, Alex D'Amico.
There you go. So we will deliver these prizes to you in short order, if not before, hopefully tomorrow or later tonight. If not, then you'll get them shortly after Christmas. I'm sorry that we're short for time on that. So, and we wanted to make sure that we gave it the most effort to get as many people as we can involved.
But congratulations to Chris and Caitlin Roberts for winning the contest.
For winning it. And it was a surprise because we had so many people enter and so many people vote online. And we have an announcement coming at our next show for our next big giveaway. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up soon. But before we close out, we have a minute and a half. I just wanted to really talk about the big slap in the face that the fat cats in Washington gave us with that lousy $600 stipend, that stimulus check they want to give us, while they're going to give $1,800 to the the non-legals, the illegals around the country. They want to give $1,800 to them, but they're only going to give us $600. Can you believe that, Gordy?
It's unbelievable.
I know we had a piece ready for it, but we're running out of time.
Right.
So we'll just talk about it briefly. Can you believe, Phil, that they've got millions of dollars for the Smithsonian Institute?
A
billion. That's right, Gordy. You corrected me earlier. $1 billion, millions of dollars for the Kennedy Center, and neither one of those places have been open since last March.
It's a slap in the face. It really is. I think Trump was trying to push the swamp back, and now this is the swamp regaining Washington.
Oh yeah,
knowing that he's leaving.
So we talked about all those things. What's the fish? Something blowfish?
Well, there's Asian bees. They're $4 million to get the Asian bees. The Asian carp. The Asian carp. They're giving multi-millions of dollars to look at the Asian carp.
Can you believe that this show, we've come to the end already? And, one thing we want to leave you with, I want you to think about before the next show is, do you think that politicians should be getting the virus vaccine before people that are in nursing homes, let's say? Gordy?
Well, before we leave,
I
have a couple of gifts for you guys.
Oh, come on.
Christmas. I have one for you, John, and
Phil.
Phil.
On. What is this?
It's something you can use in the hot tub.
Yeah. Uh-oh. It's got to be something that I brag about all the time. Gordy, you didn't have to do that. I thank you so much.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching our show. We appreciate you coming with us. This is our 4th episode. Can you believe that?
Already,
Can you believe that? It goes by fast. But Merry Christmas, everyone. We appreciate your viewership, and we wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We'll be back in January. And remember, when it's Wednesday and 7 o'clock, it's What's Happening Dracut.
Good night, Dracut. Merry Christmas. Happy Festivus.